21st century is already introducing a number of new developments in Buikwe district. Electricity, new roads, schools and many more. Large-scale commercial farming is distinct in some parts of the district, but the farming is done by major sugar and tea factories in Buikwe, as well as neighbouring districts of Jinja and Kamuli. Locals are usually employed as casual labourers on the estates to till, attend to tea, or load and ferry sugarcane to factories. Tata lorries roar, hour after hour, from small paths to major roads ferrying sugarcane. Men steer the strong machines, while others grip the bodies of the trucks as they make their way to sugar factories. Road constructors are busy fixing the district main road, leaving thickets and trading centers covered in a trail of dust. This dust, though, cannot conceal the good and bad history that lingers over Buikwe. It is here that you find tales from cannibalism to sorcery in the largely superstitious communities, where to date at least one home in 5 has a shrine from where to consult the gods.
Pipiki omwana yamutomera batumira omwana ngava okusoma ne batwala mulambo oli omulokole yaganti nze omukazi namuga nti omwana wange jaga kumunaza akuti nze sinaza omwana ebisubiri na ubya sitani okutuusa bana babubuke bakupakula omulambo bagutwala eri ku ntaana nga bakyasoma okutuukayo gusimulula ng'ate sene eddagala n'endagala embisi.
Because as you have said, these are the people who come to church and again when they go back they practice their issues. So it has remained a challenge to the church. However much we do criticize, but even the group is becoming big and bigger.
Stories from the past century about Buikwe are quite several. The most outstanding stories of cannibalism, a true story that made Bukunja County and Buikwe in particular infamous for the horrendous act. Around 1921 or 1922, then British Governor of Uganda Sir Robert Corrington thought it was enough with the cannibalism in Bukunja. He ordered that culprits were to hang if caught. Not so long after the order, a man called Kawulu and his 2 associates, Luvaluka and Leo Zabazungu, killed and ate the flesh of a young girl called Dalia who was returning from school. The 3 were arrested after a local who witnessed the gruesome act tipped the colonial police. Kawulu and his accomplices were hanged and buried by the roadside. The small village where the punishment was effected was named after Kawulu, and it exists in Buikwe to date. That and other stories of alleged sorcery demonized Buikwe. When the media became more active, digging up similar stories from elsewhere, it was then known that society in Uganda is more or less the same. The recent acts of cannibalism covered by NTV in Charulangira in Rakai district turned the spotlight on Kochi County. Then the ritual murders from Busia, Mubende, Mitian and other parts also shifted focus from Buikwe. Buikwe drew media attention again when ritual murder erupted there, mostly between 2013 and 2015. Some in the leadership positions have attributed the problem to a lack of education and entrenched superstitious beliefs in the area.
But around the 1970s, we got a challenge. That is when we had the smuggling of coffee to Kenya. And most of the regime which was at school, the present day now olds, had to leave school 30 years and above and join the other side. Now, when it was stopped in the early 80s, we remobilized the people to come back to school. That was again the time when we had the fish boom. People again left the school and went back to the lake.
Tusanze nnyo ng'abantu bagamba nti tugenda okulaba obugagga obw'amangu nga beeyambisizza ffe bye tuyita luminati. Kubanga luminati bo bagamba nti luminati ndowooza kiri naye kirine mu bantu abawana ewaffe nga bawaayo oli n'ayagala afune ssente ng'azifuna mu musaayi gwa muntu munne.
9-year-old Katote Busweke went missing in December 2013. Moses Ulukamya, who was 15 years old, also went missing in January 2014. 6-year-old Mariam Nabidio and 2-year-old Luinda Jime also in 2014. All were found killed and parts of their bodies cut off in what appear to be ritualistically motivated murders. 22-year-old James Senyondo, whose body was found a day after his disappearance in December 2013, is also thought to have been killed in a ritual sacrifice. Each of these children's stories is shocking, but again more painful because no suspect has been prosecuted in court. In all the mentioned cases, residents have claimed to have leads to the killers.
Okujjako okulaba nti batwewala balaba ku beeno batwewala nnyo.
Some children have survived with serious injuries. Robert Mukwaya, now recovering from serious spinal damage, was in 2014 saved from an attacker who had stabbed his neck and drained his blood. In 2013, the skull of 7-year-old Alan Sembatia was ripped open by a blow from a machete. His genitals were mutilated by 2 men who left him for dead. The problem of ritual murder is not one that happens on a daily basis, but it is deeply rooted in belief which, false or true, calls for quick action. Non-government organizations, traditional healers and spiritualists, police and the political class had just one choice: to work together to stop ritual child murders. In the next part, we will further trace how deep ritual murders run in Buikwe, how schools are affected, and who the people think is behind these gruesome acts. Franco Lisimbi, NTV.